Well, hey everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
So, what do we got going on today? Well, it is 1 week since the update and forced wipe. And so, as per usual, there are some hot fixes that have gone into the game and a bunch of new development going on. There's even another hack week going on. So, as always, we're going to go through what is going on in development. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to do at Miss D underscore that's me in chat. And we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. Also, real quick, what's going on with server wipes today? Well, given we are just 1 week since the forced wipe, it is just the Thursday weekly servers wiping today. So that's your mains, oh man, I'm forgetting all of our weekly servers. That's your mains, your Zen Labs, your smalls, your EUS and EU. And they do wipe at regular scheduled time for the region. That's 3 p.m. local time for the region, which means most have already wiped. AUSEA wiped like 12, 13 hours ago. EU wiped 3 hours ago. And the US servers will wipe in 2 hours at 3 p.m. EST. And these are map wipes only, as well, the forced wipe was last week. So, what do we got going on? Well, there were a couple hot fixes released after the update last week. There were some unforeseen glitches and bugs that made their way into the game. And so, over the weekend, we saw a couple optional client and server updates hit. And these fixed a variety of things, including some server tags were not displaying on server listings. They changed some stuff with the minicopter and attack helicopter collision type because there were collision issues during some stunt flying. They fixed the burlap head wrap 3D preview positioning in the item store because I guess it was wrong. And they fixed some water junk piles getting their colliders stripped on the server, which would lead to items falling through the junk pile. Also, we had a bunch of people in Discord complaining they climbed a ladder at Harbor and they got kicked for fly hack violations. And thankfully, that has been resolved. The patrol heli, the new thing was it was trying to crash at monuments. And one of the monuments it was trying to crash at was Underwater Labs, which is not an ideal monument for it to crash at. So they prevented that from happening. And there were issues with the industrial system deleting some items when running in a closed loop, and that has been fixed. And then finally, they fixed some potential error when TCs were killed, causing them to float. So no more floating tool cupboards, hopefully. Now, there are still a couple issues that, as a server owner, I'm noticing with the game. There is a minigun glitch, which I'm not going to get into, but I imagine they're going to have a fix for that soon. And then also, one of the more annoying things as a server owner is there's some issues with the optimization of industrial systems from the looks of it. And so on our more populated servers like the long threes or the mains after a couple of days, once people build up their industrial systems, there are some issues with server performance due to the industrial system. So, still need some work on that industrial system because it doesn't really work to have that coming to a crawl. And then also, we had some issues with the cargo ship spawning multiple times, some were hidden on the map, which then slogged server performance to shit. So, this can happen sometimes. Sometimes there's these little things that can cause server performance when that like kind of situation happens on the server, it can cause performance to go to crap. And we do have a couple of those still at play. So hopefully the devs will fix them. There has been conversations with the devs and stuff like that. So I do believe they are aware of these issues. But just so you know, we are aware of some server performance issues that do occasionally happen. And when they are happening, what we're doing is hopping on the server and trying to manually remediate it to bring performance back up. So we're doing everything we can on our end, and hopefully we see another fix or some optimizations in the near future, which make it so we don't have to manually do that. But that is what's going on with hotfixes. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another optional client and server hotfix this month, just given some of the things outstanding. But yeah, we'll keep you up to date as always. Also, what we got going on is another hack week is afoot. And this is probably the fifth or sixth hack week, I want to say. If you're unfamiliar, basically a hack week is where the devs kind of are able to put aside what it is they've been instructed to work on. And then they have the ability just to work on whatever it is they want to work on. And now these projects can be anything from, emojis to pool tables and anywhere in between. It can even be floating airships as bases. But not all of these Hack Week projects actually make it in. In fact, I'd say probably most of them don't make it into the primetime game, but some of them do, and they're great additions to the game when they do make it in. And so take these with a grain of salt. It's not like these are necessarily all going to make their way in, but I imagine some will. And it'll be cool to see. But one of the things we got going on is Patrick is working on some more gestures for the game, and specifically some more crude gestures, as it's put. And so that looks like the middle finger, the double middle finger. My favorite, which isn't in this video, this is something that he posted on X, and we're just playing the video. Oh, one small video he posted after this that we don't have is uh, what is that roll up middle finger where you like move your one, you crank up, with your one
With the
hand, and
other
then your
hand?
middle finger
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
rises.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
for
they're
sure.
working on the crank middle finger. So I think it's pretty fitting for the game to have some cruder gestures. It is an adult game, and it's not like people are all walking around, wishing namaste on everyone else. So having some crude gestures in the game, I think, is kind of fitting. So that's kind of cool, and we're seeing that. We're also seeing work on a pool table, and I don't know if this is ever going to be a playable pool table, but right now um, Tom has put together a pool table, and it's got rolling balls and stuff like that. And so maybe we'll see one of the devs come in and actually hook up the ability to actually play a game of billiards uh, in the game, which would be interesting. A cool little nighttime base activity potentially or something. I don't know. There's also work on some what's called render LOD collapse. And that's basically just optimizing various parts of the monuments to make them lighter weight and quicker loading from the looks of it. So as you get in render distance of a monument, the less things that have to render in, the easier your computer's going to have a time doing it. And so if they combine a bunch of LODs and collapse them into one, the idea is it should be a little better and easier to load. They're also doing some work on scene assets, is what it's being called. And basically, what that is loading all the pre processed prefabs into a dedicated client and server scene to speed up the client loading and efficiency. So basically, when you're loading into a server, you'll see like asset warm up and all that stuff. And um, that's a bunch of processing being done on your computer to process all these prefabs. And the idea is if they can process them somewhere else and then you just kind of download them or load them up, it will be quicker to load into the game. This is on top of, I think, the body of work that they just released where they're actually saving the procgen maps on their servers, and instead of your computer actually procedurally generating the whole map each time you load the server, instead you're now downloading a server file from the Facepunch servers. The idea being that the download is quicker than your machine actually procedurally generating the whole map. So just a whole multiple facets of a body of work around making it quicker and more efficient to load into the game, which is always good to see because man, can it take a while to load into a server, especially on first load of the game. It can take a while. So it's cool to see that time being cut down. They're also doing some automated testing work. So basically, just a simple platform for custom testing. And this is, I think, in the realm of test driven development, which the game does not do at the moment, but The idea with test driven development is that you write some tests that say, the assumption is that if the game is working properly, then if you do X and you do Y, then Z should happen, that type of thing. And that way you can just run these tests on a new build of the game and get back, did the test pass or did it not pass? And that way you don't have to have an actual person go in and manually test all these fundamental parts of the game. If you build a nice test suite for the game, then you just run that suite on the new build of the server or of the client, and then it can point out to you some issues before you even manually have to test it. So it's cool to see an automated testing platform come in. It's definitely, well, it'll be a lot of work. The little I know about automated testing and test driven development, I imagine it would be a lot of work to get a testing suite that really properly tests everything. But it's cool to see some fundamentals come into place because it could result in more solid releases in the future with less glitches and less need for hot fixes and things like that. So that's cool to see as a Hack Week project. And then finally, we have this thing called Combat Playground. And I'm not entirely sure about this one, but from the commits, it looks like it's giving the devs the ability to easily test and tweak things like recoil and damage and things like that. And so I'm thinking maybe this is some kind of framework for them to be able to make small changes to the meta of gunplay and things like that in the game and more quickly test it and see if it's right for the game or not. That's my sense of it. Don't quote me on that. But I believe that's what the combat playground stuff is based on the commits. But yeah, that's what we've got going on Hack Week. And what we'll generally see is these projects be worked on for at least this week. Some may go into the next week or two, especially if it looks like they're going to be making it into the game. Then we might see some more work on this or see something that's on a Hack Week branch get merged into main. And then we can say more confidently that it actually will make it into the game. But as always, we'll keep you up to date as we do an article every week, every Thursday on rustified.com, and this stream, same time, same place, Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we go over what's going on in development. Now, also being worked on is the next vehicle to make it into the game, really the next vehicle type, which is bikes. And we're seeing a ton of commits around this new vehicle or new vehicle type, I really should say, because it looks like there will be multiple types of vehicles, including manually pedaled or pedal powered. That's interesting to say. Pedal powered bicycles and motorbikes as well. And we've got this, the devs did post this video of the progress of that last week, showing a work in progress of how the pedal bikes are coming along. And you can see they're coming along great. I mean, I think it's ready to go. And so it looks like there will be a couple different versions of the bicycle coming in, a manually powered, a motorbike. It looks like there might be a tricycle in play. There might be like a motorbike sidecar as well. So my sense of this is there could be a couple different vehicles going live when the bikes do come. Now, there's no word specifically when these bikes will make their way in. I think the devs did say soon, TM. And there is a good velocity in the commits towards these bikes. So I think there is a chance that we could see them next month for the June update, but it could take a little longer as this is not only just a new vehicle, but it's a new vehicle type where they got to account for various different things. So yeah, that's bikes. We'll keep you up to date on that. There's also more work on the Radtown Redux. And if you're not familiar, basically, this is where they're bringing back some vibes of the old legacy rad towns and turning it into a new monument, or maybe a couple new monuments or points of interest around the map. And the devs did post two teaser pictures. They're a little low resolution, but you can kind of get a sense for what these new rad towns are going to be, or the rad town redux is going to be. It looks like there might be a new loot type in the Rad Town as well, another throwback to legacy looting. And so I imagine over the next couple months, we'll see some of these rad towns come into the procedurally generated map, and we might have some new looting opportunities, some more PvE and PvP opportunities around the map, which is cool. And then there's a bunch of other fixes being worked on that haven't made their way into the hot fixes realm, as in they haven't been released. Although it does look like there was just another, potentially another server update soon. So um, some of these might make their way in sooner rather than later, but basically they're fixing a bunch of stuff with the IO UI showing the wrong power values with certain wiring entities. They're fixing some stuff with the missions UI always appearing when a player connects to a server with the missions enabled set to false. They're fixing some door controller uh, IO UI stuff and some other things with the door controllers not being deployable on shelter doors. So you will be able to deploy a door controller on shelter doors soon. Also, they made it so the door controllers are now pulsable like before by buttons or pressure pads to quickly open and close a door because that was kind of a missed functionality when they released all these changes to the door controllers. Now they're mountable on the door and they're easier to use. They have some more electrical connections and stuff. So just doing some more tweaks and fixes to those door controllers and a couple other things. Submarine windows were ignoring a fog parameter, and there were some fixes for the cargo ship getting stuck, which I did mention before. So hopefully that cargo ship stuff is released because we were seeing that when that gets stuck, it can really have server performance go completely to shit. So it'll be cool if that's fixed and we don't have to wait until the next force wipe and everything. Also, they fixed power pass through set to 0 by default on empty outputs, and just some various different IO UI related things. There's also a bunch of other stuff being worked on, forward progress on things, including the new SKS rifle. If you missed it, they were originally last week going to release the SKS rifle as part of the Nomad Hazmat DLC, and it was just going to be a skin of the semi auto rifle. But that wasn't very well received from the community, and I understand why. And so the devs decided, hey, let's hold on a second and reevaluate this. And so we're seeing a couple more commits around that SKS rifle, and it looks like it's probably going to launch as its own standalone gun. And hopefully, they're just going to give it to everyone in the game. It won't be tied to a DLC or behind a paywall. It'll just be like a new gun gift for the masses in the game. So, no word on when that's going to go live. However, my sense of it is the gun was pretty much like the animations and the sounds and everything were pretty much ready to go. So, I imagine for the June update, we'll see that SKS rifle go live. There's also work on a new weapon, the Blunderbuster. Yeah, Blunderbuster. I always want to say Blunderbuss, but it looks like that's going to be maybe like a one shot, powerful, like shotgun, janky shotgun type of thing. So we're seeing work on that. Also, interestingly enough, we're seeing work on a hood and cuffs branch. This is something that I think was in concept limbo for years. I believe the idea of cuffing a player was floated, I want to say years ago, probably like 5, 6 years ago. And we haven't really seen anything with that since until now. Now we're seeing work on a hood and cuffs branch. So it looks like people might be able to, at a certain point, cuff someone and put a hood on them. And I imagine at that point, you're going to be able to drag them around somewhere or something. I think of that medieval game where you could like kind of lasso someone and pull them around. It was all janky as fuck. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see come into the game and interesting new dynamics into the society of Rust with the addition of handcuffs and hoods. There's also support for using cache servers for servers and favorites config. So basically, the idea is that your favorites will be stored on a local file to you. And so if for any reason something changes or whatever, sometimes you lose your favorites. Hopefully that'll happen less because your favorites are actually going to be cached. They're also increasing the default client tick rate from 20 to 32. And my thought is when I hear tick rate, I think of, Counter Strike, and the higher the tick server, the better, you know, shot detection and everything like that you had, because it's just checking more times per second for interactions. So upping that from 20 to 32, we could see better shot detection, maybe less invalid projectiles, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. There's also more work on a cliffs rework, and that's just those cliffs you see around the procedurally generated maps of Rust. It looks like they're doing some tweaks and modifications to them. I don't know if it's a complete rework or we're going to just see some new cliff types or maybe some improvements, but we'll keep you posted. There's also more work on that upcoming traveling vendor, which is going to be basically just some vendor that spawns randomly around the map and then moves around the main road from the looks of it. It looks like it's just going to have a vending machine or two that will probably be variable depending on time and location, it would seem. So just a new opportunity to get various items from an NPC. It'll be interesting to see what that NPC is selling, because maybe that could have some more interesting metas added to the game, you could say. There's also a work in progress on sending a special death info to a player if they die due to sleeping in a safe zone. There's, of course, like the warning if you're logging off in a safe zone, you got 20 minutes and stuff, but they're adding a special message that if you didn't heed that warning and you did die in a safe zone, next time you load into the server, it'll tell you exactly why. And then also, it looks like they're potentially going to be sending the cargo ship patrol path to the player and rendering it on the map. So potentially with the cargo ship in the near future, well, actually, I guess maybe it would be like a dotted line on where the cargo ship is going to go that gets rendered on the in-game map. Not really sure. Last I checked, this was still on a separate branch, but could be a little easier for people to plan on how they're going to interact with cargo, and if it's going to dock at the harbor, they'll be able to see it for sure before it does. So you can get to harbor and plan accordingly. That type of thing is what I'm thinking. But yeah, that is what is going on in Rust development for the week. And yeah, that about does it. Also, horses are still fucked. I mentioned on the hot fixes, there's a couple of things that are still not great and getting a lot of complaints about horse movement and everything. So hopefully they do fix some stuff with the horses soon too. Oh, and there was an issue when you bought a horse at a stable, it wasn't movable. And hopefully that is fixed soon as well. I don't have confirmation on a fix for that quite yet. But yeah, we got any questions from the audience, Miss D? Wait for it. Is Miss D still with me?
Oh, it didn't work. I was talking. I said you took my first question. That was with the horses.
Oh, yeah, with the horses. Yeah, no, they're still fucked, I
Yeah.
think.
Um, when is Whip?
WIP for Rustafied servers is at regular scheduled time for the region, which is 3 p.m. local time for each region. It is just the Thursday weekly wipe servers wiping today, so your mains, your smalls, your Zen labs. And the majority of Rustified servers wiping today have already wiped because it's already past 3 p.m. in those regions. EU was just about 3.5 hours ago. AUSEA was like 12 plus hours ago. And then US will wipe in an hour and a half, roughly, at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Mm, Hack Week. Does that mean everyone gets hacks to play the game?
Yeah, everyone just when you join, it's a special thing. You all get ESP and aimbot, and everyone flies around. That is one way to combat the hacker situation: is just give hacks to everyone. That totally wouldn't ruin the game permanently.
Right. Anyways, do you know when the next Twitch the Twitch drops is coming?
I don't know specifically when the next Twitch drops is coming, but it does look like they are working on getting some of that stuff together. So hopefully, probably in the next couple weeks, maybe for June, we'll see a Twitch drop. So I feel like a Twitch drop campaign is a little behind schedule at the moment. Like we probably should have seen one already, but I guess the priority is potentially elsewhere with the devs. So maybe in June we'll see one.
Is there a fix for the rig scientist not moving? It's literally been years.
That I haven't heard anything about. I haven't heard any changes about that. So I wouldn't hold your breath, but hopefully they are redoing a lot with the AI this year, and they were hiring someone specifically to like redo the AI. Who knew AI is like tough? But maybe we'll see some fixes to that in the near future. But I don't see anyone working on specifically that at this moment, based on what we're seeing on the commits.
Do you know when they update the item store?
The item store doesn't have a specific time to update. Like when they release a monthly patch, that has a set time at like 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. BST or GMT, whatever. With regards to the weekly item store stuff, it's more of just a random kind of sometime in the afternoon Eastern time. So generally in the next hour or two, we'll see it go live, but no set schedule. You just got to keep an eye on it.
Let me see here. It says, hello, there are some skins made for bigger creators that normally don't play Rust. OTV. Is there a Twitch event coming or is it still under soon?
Yeah, there definitely have been Twitch events in the past for like the OTV one was a big one. And that was when we saw one of the all time concurrent peaks of players in the game. I'm not sure what the next Twitch drop is going to be for. I haven't heard specifically when it's going to drop. I have heard mumblings about it being worked on, but I don't really have any specifics at this moment. But I imagine probably we're looking at June, shortly after the next update and forced wipe. But we'll have to keep you posted on that because I don't know that anything specifically has really been released, or if it has, I just missed it. And sorry.
Have you ever thought about hosting a Prim only event?
Yeah, with when it comes to events, we basically just stick to our yearly charity event, Charitable Rust. And we really like to focus on just having that be to raise funds for good causes all over the world. We've raised over, what is it, $1.3 million over the past 9, 10 years for various different causes. And that's really where I like to focus on the event stuff. When it comes to competitive Rust events, if you haven't noticed, man, do they get bogged down with drama and bullshit and death threats and like all this fucking garbage. And I'll be honest, I want nothing to do with that shit. I want nothing to do with that. It's just not at all appealing or attractive to me to try to run an event where at the end of it, people are just going to be bitching and moaning that someone cheated or someone did something wrong or, I just, yeah, it's all to say I want nothing to do with it. So maybe we could do a primitive type of part for Charitable Rust. We are working on developing this year's Charitable Rust event, and we have a bunch of great ideas for that. But I'm confident that I'm just going to focus on charity and not like, oh, what team can win $10,000? Because if you do that, then people are just going to lose their fucking mind. And I don't want to be behind that.
Mm, do you think they'll ever bring back the old recall?
Nope, I do not.
Can you please tell Bugs we want him to narrate some stories we can listen to? I want to fall asleep hearing that sweet, sweet voice.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. You make me blush over here, but thank you. Yeah, no, if all this goes to shit, I am going to start narrating audiobooks, I think, for a living. That might be my backup career, just given the feedback I've gotten.
I think you have a lot of fans already, so
Well, much love to you guys. Thank you. You make me blush.
bless you, Bugs. Anyways, question's a little bit short since we don't have a lot to show off, so maybe do a little recap.
Yeah, I'll do a little recapity cap here. Might be a little shorter one. As is per usual, the week after Force is pretty much generally a slow news week with not much to show off because, it's kind of a new cycle of development and it's early on in that cycle. But we'll run through. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to do at Miss D underscore that's me in chat, and we'll get to the ones we have a chance to. But what we're seeing this week after last week's update and forced wipe is, as per usual, some hot fixes. There were, I think it was two, maybe now three optional server and client hot fixes that went live. This fixed a bunch of stuff like tags not showing up, the minicopter and attack helicopter collision type was shifted because there were some collision issues. One of the some of the bigger ones that were impacting players was a fly hack violation when climbing a crane ladder at Harbor that has been resolved, and floating tool cupboards when tool cupboard was destroyed. That's been resolved. There was some industrial system stuff where in closed loop systems it was deleting items, and thankfully that has been fixed as well. So a bunch of miscellaneous fixes that we're seeing, which are pretty much par for the course after an update like the one last week. There still are some outstanding issues. There's a bug with the minigun. There's cargo ship is getting stuck. There's server performance issues with the industrial system, which is causing server performance to come to a crawl, especially on larger servers. And so hopefully those are being remediated and we'll see some fixes for those in the near future as well. In the meantime, if server performance does go to shit, please just get on Discord. Follow the general rule of what people do on Discord, which is blame the server, say we suck at running servers and we should stop running out of our parents' basement. But really, just let us know that performance is bad, and then we'll hop on and manually remediate it to the best we can. But this is an issue with the game, and it's something that is quite frankly out of our control. When it pops up, we're working on manually getting in there and fixing it. But what we really need is the devs to just optimize further and just fix the problem. So hopefully that happens soon. But in the meantime, do feel free to let us know if server performance is going poorly on one of our servers, and we will hop on gladly and do the best we can to fix it. The other stuff we got going on this week is another hack week. If you're not familiar, this is where the devs kind of get together, they pause on what they were working on, and they just work on whatever they feel like working on, whatever they think would be a good addition to the game. And historically speaking, this has seen some cool new additions to the game, like emoticons and various other things. And this week, what we're seeing is some crude gestures being worked on. So, another slew of gestures, which are a little more in the adult realm. We got middle finger, double middle finger, cranking up middle finger, finger gun, a lot of finger stuff, huh? And throat cut. So just some cool, crude gestures being worked on with Patrick. So I think he does a pretty good job on these on these gestures. It's really looks pretty like I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but they look like tight. Like they're tight animations, I guess I would say. So nicely done, Patrick. As with all Hack Week projects, we may or may not see this stuff come in the game, but I feel like these crude gestures are probably going to make it into the game because it just feels very appropriate for this game. There's also work on a pool table, billiards being worked on. I think Tom is working on a pool table. He's got the balls rolling around. Maybe at some point we'll see a developer come in and actually code a mini game of billiards, which I think would be cool. We got blackjack, we got some other things. Well, why not billiards? He was also talking about maybe doing some darts or things like that. And I love that kind of dumb shit. I think that would be really cool to see in the game. There's also work on some render LOD collapsing. Long and short with that is just kind of optimizing monuments and making it so it's overall less prefabs and LODs, less stuff to load in for your computer. So as you come up on a monument or load into the game or whatever, it just loads quicker and you have less hitches and things like that. So that's cool to see. They're also working on pre-processing all the prefabs, and long and short, my sense of it with that is that it'll allow you to get into the game quicker because instead of your computer doing all the crunching to process these prefabs, they're pre-processed. You just load them in from an external server or external scene, and then you're in the game quicker. So that could be cool. We've got some automated testing in the works, like a simple platform for a custom testing framework. I think this is in the realm of test driven development where you have a testing suite. And after you have a new build, an updated build of the client or server, you run the testing suite and it lets you know if certain things that should be working are not working. So it's a good coding practice to have some tests in there, and I think it could be a nice addition to the game to help have more solid releases, basically, just less glitches and fixes needed after the fact. And then also there's work on a combat playground, which I don't think this is like a player oriented PvP space or PvP game mode. Originally, when I saw combat playground, I mean, that's where my head went, which I think is pretty understandable. But based on the commits, it looks like more of a place where the devs can play with doing little tweaks to, recoil and gun damage and armor protection, and kind of maybe do some playing around with gunplay changes in an easier environment and a more agile environment. So that's my sense of what the combat playground is, but nothing confirmed with that. But that's what we got going on Hack Week. I imagine we might see a couple other things come in, and then as of next week or the following week, we'll have a good idea of which Hack Week projects maybe will make it into the game and which ones will just go back into the concept limbo bucket for another day. Also, we got work on bikes. This is going to be the newest type of vehicle coming into the game. It looks like there is going to be not only manually operated pedaled bicycles, but also motorbikes, maybe a tricycle, maybe a motorbike with a sidecar. You can see this video here from X that the devs posted last week. It's progressing beautifully. I think we're pretty much there, especially that wheel motion, right on point.
Yep.
And
For
yeah,
sure.
I do love the devs posting these work in progress videos. Like I think that is something they should definitely keep up. We've seen mainly just with these bikes here, which are hilarious. But I would love to see some more work in progress videos like this from the devs. I love when they give us sneak peeks like this of what's going on
Yeah, it's
behind the
fun.
scenes. But no word on when these are going to be making their way into the game. It looks like, well, this week they're doing things like fuel consumption and player mounting positions and working on the suspension and things like that. So they're moving along at a good clip. They did say in the tweet that it would be coming soon, TM. And I think there's a chance we that soon could be June, but maybe not. I imagine this summer though the bikes will come in because it does seem like it is a priority and they are working on it at a pretty good velocity. We've also got more work on the Radtown Redux, including two teaser shots from the devs on the Radtown Redux. If you're not familiar, this is a throwback to Legacy, where there were these kind of more jankier rad towns. There was, what was it, small rad and large rad, and it's just kind of a throwback to that style. It looks like on top of this new kind of building layout and everything thing like that, we might have a throwback to a legacy loot crate of sorts as well. So at some point when these make their way in, there'll be a new place maybe to recycle. There'll be a new place to PvP and PvE and to loot. I don't think there'll be safe zones. I think the thing about rad towns is they are irradiated and they are PvP zones. So some more opportunities for PvP around the map when they make their way in. There are a bunch of other fixes that are being worked on as well that haven't necessarily made their way into a hot fix live in the game, but just a whole bunch of crap around door controllers and IO units and health bar showing things when they shouldn't, things like that. Clatter helmet visuals are being updated. One of the big things that I think is they're fixing the cargo ship getting stuck. And I say that's a big thing because it looks like when that happens, it could be one of the things that's causing server performance to go to shit. So hopefully we see that fixed. I imagine we'll see some of these fixes maybe go live in another optional server and client hotfix. And then other ones will have to wait until June for the forced wipe and update at the beginning of the month. So we'll keep you posted. If you want a full list and you really want to geek out on specifically what's being fixed, check out rustified.com. Scroll down a little bit. I got a full list of other fixes going on. And then on top of that, there's a bunch of other stuff being worked on as well. The SKS rifle. This is the gun that was going to be a SAR skin for the Nomad Hazmat DLC, but when they released that that was the plan, uh, the community understandably wasn't such a fan of that. And so the dev said, okay, hold on a second, we're going to reevaluate this. And it looks like the SKS rifle will come in probably as a standalone gun instead of an SAR skin. And probably we'll see that in June because it looks like it's pretty much ready to go. They just pulled it last second because people weren't happy about it being added to a 3-year-old DLC, which psh, I understand. They're also working on a new weapon, the Blunderbuster. I imagine that's going to be a janky, I think a looper, right? But I think that was Blunderbuss, wasn't it? In Looper, the
Yeah,
movie?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
But they shoot and the person goes flying back like through the wall. I doubt it's going to be like that in the game. Although that would be crazy if there was a gun that literally sent the player ragdoll just flying 20 feet back when you hit him. Um, but that would be understandably probably overpowered. But anyway, they're working on this new blunderbuster, and I imagine it's going to be more like a one-shot shotgun type of thing. We'll keep you posted on that. They're working on a hood and cuffs branch, and so that's going to be handcuffs and a hood for your head. Uh, that could go some fun places, I guess, in the game. And they're doing some support for caching your favorites in a favorites.config file so you don't lose your favorites as much. They increased the default client tick rate from 20 to 32, which could be nothing or it could actually be really a big step forward in better shot detection and less invalid projectiles. Not really sure how much the tick rate comes into play, but that's a pretty good percentage increase of default tick rate. The flip side is it could cause performance to go to utter shit because the server's ticking too often. So that could be a double edged sword, but we'll keep you posted. And they're doing some more work on the cliffs rework. So the cliffs are on the map. They're working on a traveling vendor. So it'll just appear somewhere on the map and then travel around the road. And I imagine we'll have different options for vending at different places and different times. We'll keep you posted. And that's basically it. Oh, and we also might see the actual path of the cargo ship like on the in-game map. I'm picturing sort of like a dotted line or something on where the cargo ship's going to go. It looks like that is being worked on. I don't know that that's confirmed, but it does look like they are working on sending the cargo ship patrol path to the player and rendering it on the in-game map. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. And yeah, that pretty much does it on what's going on in Rust development for the week. Misty, any questions come in?
Yeah, we have some left. Is there any chance that you can make Bandit a thing again? Because with the new safe zone recyclers, there needs to be more than one safe zone.
Yeah, I feel where you're coming from, and they are working on the compound redesign. And I do believe with the compound redesign, we'll have separated those two monuments again. That's kind of the working plan. We haven't seen the compound redesign in full effect, but I do believe once that comes out, that might be the thing that kills the meta of so many servers combining the compound and bandit.
Does Bugs get a chance to play himself much? And how does he feel about the current gunplay? And if any, what would he change?
Ooh, interesting question. Well, I'll be honest, I need to get on for a wipe because it's been a hot minute since I've gotten on and really played a wipe. Eh, As you can imagine, so I've been doing this for 10 years, tracking Rust development and running the servers and playing the game and everything. And when it's your primary like work to report on development and to then hop in the servers and get rid of hackers and all this stuff, there the the drive to play yourself can wane, and it has waned on me. So I haven't played that recently. I do want to hop on and see, especially the newest like gunplay changes and everything like that, and experience that for myself. So I am looking at doing like maybe a little 2x week wipe or something like that with some team members in the near future. to do that. But to be honest with you, I just haven't made the time to play recently. I got into Fallout 76 like everyone did. It followed the propaganda pre-programming machine from, Amazon Prime to, oh, the Fallout show is pretty good and she's cute and oh, a Fallout game, I should try that. And oh, look at my Prime membership gives me Fallout 76 for free. So yeah, for the past week I've just been in Fallout 76. 6 years too late, but apparently it's like the best time to play. Um, but yeah, I'll get into Rust again in the near future and have a better sense of it. But honestly, it just hasn't really been there for me, if I'm being straight.
I heard there's coming tigers to the desert and such. Is that true?
Yeah, apparently there is a jungle-ish biome being worked on with tigers, and I don't know if the jungle biome and the tigers are combined or going to be separate, but I think we got some new biomes being worked on potentially and some new animals being worked on. And I don't know exactly how the rollout of that is going to go, but it is interesting to see some random here and there commits about these new things. So I am keeping an eye on that for sure.
When are they doing so it's possible to change your character, customize it?
I don't know. For the longest time, I thought they definitely won't ever do that. I mean, back in the day, when this first came out, everyone was like a bald white guy, the classic Rust guy. And then there were a couple variations for male figures coming in, and then they added female figures. And around that time, everyone said, I want to re-roll my character. I want to pick my character. I want to, character slider all the things. And Gary basically said, well, you don't pick what you look like in real life, so why would you in a game? Now, I don't agree with that statement. I don't know if that was like 8 years ago and a off the cuff statement from Gary. So I don't even know if he still agrees with that. But for the longest time, it had me thinking, man, they're not going to add the ability to change. But I feel like there have been some murmurings about it. So maybe we will at some point in the future. I'm no longer like 99% sure we won't. But that being said, I haven't heard anything specifically about it being worked on. So that's the type of thing I wouldn't hold your breath for.
Is there any news on anti-cheat?
Well, it's kind of where it's been at. Now, thankfully, last month, I kind of went on a rant about EAC earlier in the month. And then surprisingly, EAC started doing better. I'm not saying it was correlated with my rant, but it was kind of serendipitous timing. Maybe EAC is just trying to put my foot in my mouth for me, but EAC actually did start taking action quicker on some new, very obvious, very hacker accounts. That being said, they're still not catching as many as they need to, and they're not catching them as quickly. And it seems like when EAC starts catching people quicker, the hackers get even quicker at coming back on new accounts. So it's this push pull dynamic and it ebbs and it flows and man does it suck. Do I just want it to go away? But it's all to say the hacker situation is still quite a big problem. I'm not going to sit here and cuss out EAC as much as I did last month because I actually did make some improvements and I know they are working with Facepunch on being more proactive and getting better at the detection, but there is still so much work to be done. Internally, we have a third party anti cheat we're working with. We've got our own in house anti cheat detections that we've been developing for 2 years, and we keep tweaking and churning up and everything. So I am happy to say we are able to get rid of a lot of hacker accounts before they even get on the radar of players and much less ruin players' experiences. But we're not catching as many as we need to. There's still a ton out there. And the tools that we have are very limited. And so it is at times like trying to put out a forest fire with a garden hose. And it can be a little tough on morale. But we're still working on it. I mean, and I really hope EAC continues to improve. And if they could get like a couple magnitudes better and quicker, then I feel like this problem would be so much less. But haven't seen it yet. They have gotten a little better. And I got my fingers crossed. Now I'm knocking on wood that they continue that uptrend, and we're continuing to do everything that we can on our end to get rid of hackers. But fuck, is it still a big problem in the game? And I'm not gonna mince my words on that. And I'll be straight with you guys. It's still a big problem. And what I'll say is, if you're playing on Rustified servers, the absolute best thing you can do is, if you see someone who you think is hacking, go to my.rustified.com, put in a report, and even better, feel free, if they're like very clearly hacking, like you look at battle metrics and it's a 2 day old account and they're 30-1, then get on our Discord and be like, here's the report ID. This guy is fucking bullshit, and we'll get on it as quickly as we can. I do also want to say we get about 20,000 reports a month, and so many of them are people that have 5, 6, 7,000 recorded hours in the game. And it's not to say that those people can never be cheating, but it is to say it's much harder to catch someone who has gotten away with it for 6,000 hours than it is someone who's on a 2 day old account on a VPN running around, looking through walls. So it's an uphill battle, but I do really appreciate the people who give quality reports on our my.rustified.com site. And you'll see, if you look at our Discord, we're in there, we're fielding reports, we're banning teams, we're doing the best we can. And we're going to continue to do that. And hopefully, between that and EAC continuing to improve, this will no longer be a problem in the future. Hopefully, that's my that's my wish. But man, I also would love to win the lottery, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't even buy tickets, so we'll see. We'll see.
Is there any plans for Rustafied to enter the modded slash minigame server space?
Not at the moment. We've had some kind of forays into that in the past, and it kind of flopped each time. So maybe in the future there's something to be done there. But for the time being, we're just focusing on our bread and butter, so to speak, which is just vanilla official servers, and just running the best servers that we can and keeping them as clean as from hackers as possible.
If you look at playtime in your Steam library, what are your top 5 games?
Oh,
Uh,
geez.
I
Well,
mean, do you want
Rust
to
is,
start? Yeah.
yeah, if I look, I mean, Rust is my biggie at 22,000 hours. Um, and then all recently played, I don't know. What's the top? Can I sort by top played? I don't know. I got some Assetto Corsa in there, some golf with friends. I think CS:GO is probably my second top, but I'm not seeing where that is. How about you guys?
Um, Rust for sure. And I do play a lot of Foxhole. And I used to also play a shit ton of CSGO and just survival games in general. So
Yeah, I got Rust at number one, and then I think it's Project Zomboid and RimWorld is two and three, something like that.
Yeah, I just found my list by uh, hours played, and it's Rust, and then Rust staging, and then Counter Strike 2, it says now, but that's really CS:GO. I haven't played much Counter Strike 2. And then like Grand Theft Auto 5, and then well, Counter Strike Source, last played 2012. I played 500 hours of Counter Strike Source apparently, and 300 hours of Assetto Corsa, because I do like racing. I love my wheel and my pedals and driving around like a maniac, but not risking real life and limb. It's good stuff. But yeah, good question, I guess. We're,
uh,
you can tell we're kind of slow on questions when we're running through our Steam library over here instead of
Easy.
like once.
no, we still
I
have
think
some
maybe we
left
wind
though.
this puppy down soon. I don't know.
Well, we still have some left. It
All
was a
right, what we
legit
got?
question though, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no, legit.
So I just joined, so sorry if this already has been asked. But back in the dev blog, then they made about surviving a decade and what's to come this year. Then they mentioned lakes slash rivers and a major map overhaul. Do you know anything about this?
Not much more than what they kind of said in that article, because they're and it seems like they're playing with some of that with some new biome things, some cliff reworks. I think we can see a little bit of that starting to take shape, but I think the priority before rejiggering the whole procedural generation of the maps as far as rivers and lakes go. It looks like they're focusing more on redoing the monuments at the moment, because that was another major factor in the beginning of the year blog, was just going back through the monuments that exist and optimizing them and improving them. And it seems like they're kind of doing that part first, and then I imagine once they have those monuments and they see like what the footprint of each monument is, and kind of how it's functioning now, then after that I could see them making some more significant changes to procedural map generation as far as layout of rivers and lakes is concerned. But we haven't really seen any huge movement forward on that yet this year. I imagine it's going to be a second half of the year type of thing.
I quite didn't catch whether they already fixed the horses or not.
Sorry, I'm just messaging my systems team because I do see EU Long 3 is shitting the bed again. Perfect timing, because this is what I'm talking about as far as issues with the game currently. Again, there's industrial system issues and cargo ship issues, the two of which, that when they occur, of which we have no control over their occurrence, server performance goes to shit. And this is really happening on the larger, longer wipe servers like the long threes. So I did just message. I hear you guys. I messaged my systems team, and they're looking into EU Long 3 performance. Again, this is like not a server host issue from the looks of it. This is by all means um, just an issue with optimization in the game. So we are doing our best, and thank you for your understanding and patience. And sorry, Misty, what was the question originally?
Mm, he asked, I quite didn't get, I quite didn't catch whether they already fixed the horses or not.
No, I think they're aware of it, but I don't believe the horses are fixed at the moment. I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the horses are still an issue.
What are your thoughts about band waves versus immediate bans?
I would prefer immediate bans. Think about it. If you got a ban wave, then you're saving up. You've got people on the list to be banned, still playing in the server until you get what? Enough people to ban? What the fuck is that? Ban waves are stupid. I and I understand why they're doing it, collecting heuristics to better, whatever, detect cheats in the future. But holy shit, especially in this game, one hacker or one hacker group can ruin an entire server's wipe in an afternoon. And so if they're just on the queue to be banned and when the next wave comes in, well, fuck, how many servers have they ruined in the meantime? So no, fuck ban waves. Get rid of them. You detect they're hacking, fucking they better be banned like immediately. What are we doing here? So yeah, you can tell I have very soft opinions on that. I'm not very opinionated on that at all.
Like I always say, tell us how you really feel, Bugs.
Yeah,
Go
right.
for it.
Yeah. Anyways, next, is there a way to check your server KDA on Rustafied?
Not at the moment, although we are working on a stats and leaderboard system. So we've got that in active development. I'm really looking to do something special, something that hasn't been seen in the space yet. Because we could have done like a mod that exists and stuff you've seen before, but if we were going to do it, I want to do something special. So we have engaged with a development team, and we are working on building out a stats leaderboard system that we're looking to launch later this year. But again, I want it to be really like unique and special to Rustified servers, and really give you some interesting metrics and stats that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. And I do want to put my foot in my mouth a little bit, because I said EU Long 3 fucked up. And it looks like another issue with the game, but actually that might have been a drop from our host. So I apologize. That one actually serves me right for trying to define it in the moment, but that one actually might have been a drop from our host. So either way, I apologize, and our systems team is looking into it. And hey, we do the best we can.
Last question. All of
Please
you, all of you, tell us one favorite hobby you do in real life. Well, I can start. I
go for it.
guess I can say more than one because I do play a lot of Rust or gaming, I guess. And I like being creative. And like creative, I mean like substance painter, like you can make Rust skins and other stuff and Photoshop, trying to learn that by myself. So yeah.
Cool. How about you, Artemis?
I'd probably say along a similar line, but I like to do art in my free time, so kind of physical stuff and digital painting. So pretty much pretty similar, really.
Cool. Yeah. Me, I like driving. I love driving. I like flying. I don't fly in real life, but I do a lot of sim stuff with that.
You have the whole
And
setup.
and I've been working towards I'm gonna just move into the woods and live off the land. So I'm working towards that. I've been doing a lot of research with that because I'm like, yeah, once I'm done with the video game space, I'm just gonna move into the woods and be a hermit, I think. So um, that maybe that's a hobby. Maybe it's a mental disorder. I don't know. But why not both? But yeah, let's leave it at that for this week. And I do want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Uh, just a friendly reminder, a lot of people think we're developers of the game or we're on the Facepunch payroll or things like that. And neither of those are the case. We're just an independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And the only way we've been able to do this for 10 years now is through the support of the community. So, to people who tune in and watch each week, thank you so much. To people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, thank you so much. And to our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers, really much love to you all. Thank you so much because without that support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. We wouldn't be able to run the servers that we do, and we wouldn't be able to report every week. So, much love to you all. Also, Artemis and Misty, thank you so much for being my co MCs as always.
As always, you're welcome.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you, Bugs.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, we're going to wind this puppy down. We will be, oh, Jesus, my mouth is going. We will be back next
Blah
week,
blah
same
blah
time,
blah.
same place, blah, 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 blah. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.